All right, folks, Bass Action is back in action here. We are going to look on these page of notes at setting up some equations to find measures of angles in special angle pairs. Those special angle pairs could include things that are complementary, supplementary. We're going to look at our linear pairs and our vertical angles, and when we get into class, we'll even work with some of our perpendicular lines. So let's jump into an example here. So example number 1. What we can see here is that we are given two angles A and B, and it tells us that they're complementary. That's going to be our key word on this. That's going to drive everything we're going to do, so we can highlight it or circle it, whichever one you want. And the first thing that should always come to your mind with complementary, you should just be thinking that the measures of these two angles, so the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B, is going to equal 90. So if your brain immediately thinks of that, you write that down, then you can just substitute. It tells us that the measure of angle A is 5x minus 28. The measure of angle B is 2x minus 1 equals 90. Then we can just do some quick algebra here. So we're going to have our 7x on the left. I'm going to move the 28 and the 1 over to the right-hand side, and we'll get a 119. And that would give us an x equals 17. Now, as with all the other problems that we've been doing, we want to take a look at what does it want us to find. It wants us to find the measure of each of our angles. So what we're going to do is we're going to say the measure of angle A. We're just going to substitute that in. We've done this before. So we're going to have our 5 times our 17 minus our 28. We're going to get 57 degrees for that one. For our measure of angle B, we have two choices here. We could take that 57 and just subtract it from 90. That would work just fine. Or we can go ahead and we can take our value for x and we can substitute that into our expression that we had for x. Doesn't matter. Either way, we should get the exact same measure for angle B. So we've got 57 degrees for angle A. We have 33 degrees for angle B. All right, let's move on to our next one. On the next problem, it's going to tell us that we have the measure of an angle. The measure of an angle is 20 more than 4 times its supplement. And there's our key word. That's the word we were looking for, this supplement. Because what that's going to drive for us is that we've got two angles. This time I don't have names for them, so I'm just going to say my angle plus my other angle is going to be 180 degrees. So in order to set this up, then what we're going to do is we're just going to define one of our angles as x, and then the other angle has been given to us in terms of that one. So it's going to be 20 more than 4 times the other angle. So we're going to start with the times. So 4 times the other angle would be 4x. It's going to be 20 more than that. And there we've got our equals 180. So continuing with our algebra, our 5x equals 160, and our x then is 32. All right, now again, what it wants us to do is actually find the measure of each angle. So we have to go back and we have to say, all right, our first angle is just that value of x in this case. So our first angle is actually 32 degrees. Our second angle, we're going to have two choices. And what we can do for the second is we could do 180 minus 32. That would be an option, similar to what we did on example 1. Or we can take that 32 and we can substitute it in and say 4 times the 32. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to put our 32 right there. So 4 times our 32 and add in our 20. And either way, we're going to get 148 degrees for that angle. So the first angle is 32. Our second angle is 148. Okay, now the next one we're given a picture. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to look at this picture and think about what type of an angle pair have we been given. That's going to help drive it for us. So what we can see immediately is that angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. And what we know is that linear pairs are supplementary And if they're supplementary, we know they're going to add to 180. So that's going to drive our equation. So let's slide this up here for you guys. So what we can do now is we can say that the measure of angle 1, it gives it to us. We can say is 7x plus 20. The measure of angle 2 we can see is 5x plus 10 from our given information, and that's going to be 180. So it's working on our algebra here. We're going to have our 12x. Subtract the 20 and the 10 to the other side. We're going to get 150, and we're going to get an x equals 12.5. And as always, what does it ask us to do? Solve for x. Solve for x. That's exactly what we've done. We are all finished on this problem. All right, our next problem, we're going to start out the same way. We're going to take a look at what type of angle pair are we given. And we can see on this problem that angle 1 and angle 2 this time are vertical angles. And we know that vertical angles are congruent. So this time we can take our measure of angle 1 and we can actually set it equal to our measure of angle 2. So 3x plus 20 equals 5x minus 50. Move my variables over to the right. I'm going to get a 2x. Move my 50 to the other side to the left. I'm going to get a 70. X equals 35. And I went ahead and I circled that before I actually reminded us that we were just asked to solve for x. So we're all done on that, and we are going to explore a little bit more of these angle relationships when you come into class. All right, thanks a lot.